Okay, this is a video that I promised that I meant to do yesterday, but I was out shooting all day yesterday, and I was really very busy yesterday. Wedding package. Now the only thing that I don't have here that I would take on a larger wedding or a larger package would be an additional shooter whose skills and abilities you know and trust, and then you have to work out a rate for that person to have them shoot fill. What do I mean by fill? I mean all the things that you can't do with your two hands and your two cameras at the same time. I'm going to go cover the bride and the groom, and you're going to work the other end of the reception. I'm going to work over at the bride and the groom in the reception. You're going to get the fill shots of all the guests. You're going to set up equipment while I'm actually shooting the reception for outdoor shots. That's one aspect for a larger package. Secondly, I don't care how many speed lights you got. There's nothing easier and better than setting up a single studio strobe in like an octabox and sandbagging that outdoors, assuming it's in the church courtyard or a place of your choosing, or inside a room inside the church, or wherever the reception is, where you actually have a free area to actually take the pictures that are compositionally necessary for the complete wedding package. Studio strobe. People go, well, that's big, a studio strobe. You know, it's not the size of the speed. No, if they're paying for it, and they're going to do some group shots, they're going to do some couple photos underneath the tree, out in the yard. I'm not going to even think about doing that. I'm going to step back with like a 300mm prime, which I actually didn't bring here. I brought the idealized package for a wedding shoot right here, but like a 300mm 2.8 that I'm going to use, or 200mm f2.8. Gotta have a studio strobe. Sorry, speedlight ain't gonna cut it out in the bright sunlight. Just not gonna do it, and certainly not gonna do some of those distant shots without a studio strobe. Depends on what they're paying for. These are the necessities for a professional, assuming you know how to use this gear and know how to use it in a speedy fashion. Need at least a couple TTL cables. Gotta have TTL cables. Need a couple TTL speed lights. I brought one out, but you're going to have absolutely two at the minimum. What's going to happen is, especially with the quantum pack, I don't care how many batteries you got, it's going to have heating issues. You're going to have to let one chill down, grab the other speed light, that one chill off in your back pocket or in your camera bag. Going to have two professional TTL speed lights. Going to have a monopod for obvious reasons, for light conditions in chapel, also for sticking your camera on the end of the monopod. One of the great things that I do, I stick a fisheye lens on one of my cameras, bring it up above the reception, get some interesting shots. It's just the spice. People bitch about it's like, why would you use a fisheye lens in wedding photography? It's the exact same reason why I would actually bring this dual-purpose portraiture lens. Now, I would not necessarily always bring the Kina 100mm, but since it serves a dual purpose, it's actually ideal for wedding photography. Not only for portraiture, but people love these two lenses. Are the spice, the paprika, the pepper that goes into the creation of any fine meal. It's not making up the shots. What it is are all those little details, like the macro details of the filigree on the cake, or some macro shots of the wedding dress, or the bride and the groom on the top of the cake, the macro shots of the wedding rings on the cushion. Some of the finer details like that is actually how the human mind works, and it does not just love regular snapshots. When you actually add those spices, what it does, it takes like a normal chicken meal and you've added some spices and you made something spectacular. Any asshole with a point and shoot camera can take the raw chicken and take some regular photographs like you can. Well, not really, but I mean generally so. So you actually have to have, in my opinion, okay, this is my opinion, this actually makes for happy clients. Bring a macro lens that also lets you do portraiture. Okay, nice, clean, crisp, clear, good color saturation, good micro contrast portraitures, and a fisheye lens. These are the little spices that you add to your wedding photography. Okay, now I've gone over those two lenses. There's 3 other lenses in total that I'm going to be taking with me, and absolutely necessarily 2 cameras. Why do I have these 2 cameras chosen? Obviously, this is a lot of money. Nikon D810 and Nikon D500. Nikon D810 is absolute king of portraiture and king of landscapes. I am not going to be doing the portraiture shots of the Nikon D500. Excellent camera. It is certainly master of speed. I'm not going to be using the Nikon D810 during the reception when everybody's dancing or doing what they're doing. I'm going to be using the Nikon D500. Likewise, for low light shots in the chapel, depending on where it's at, I'm not going to be using the Nikon D810. I'm going to be using the Nikon D500, A, due to its high ISO capabilities on a monopod, B, to its pixel pitch, my ability to crop. I'm not going to be using the D500 for some of the intimate shots of the bride and groom cutting the cake, of the bride or groom getting ready. I'm going to be using the Nikon D810. I'm going to choose which is king of which at which time is appropriate. A wedding shoot, a traditional wedding shoot, I mean weddings obviously vary, they have the full spectrum of photography. They have the slow, beautiful shots where you need the finest portraiture, and they have the action and the dancing where you need basically the cameras, a camera that is good at taking pictures of, sports cars rounding the track, or runners at the Olympics. And a traditional wedding shoot has all of those, and I can't cover that. Even if I had one camera that was perfect for all of those things and no such camera exists, I still have to have two damn cameras, because you can't be sitting there missing the shot and swapping lenses off of one damn camera. Like, well, I can only afford one camera. Well, that's fine, that's understandable, but you charge accordingly. You have to have the skills to know how to use this stuff. Obviously, that goes without saying. Typically, I'm using, I'm always going to have 70 to 200, 2.8 on one of my cameras, and on the other camera, I'm going to have the traditional 24 to 70, which is this, the 17 to 55 equivalent of the 24 to 70 on the Nikon D500. It's basically the DX version of that lens. Additionally, for some of the wide-angle shots in the chapel and the reception, I have the 15 to 30 Tamron. People think, well, and you're going to have to bring at least 20 of these. Get the high power output in a loop. I think they're up to 2,650 milliamps now. These are 2,550. That might be the maximum now. I think they have one a little bit higher. I got tons of these suckers. Got to have about 20 of these. But this isn't going to do it. What people don't understand is that even though these are the best professional batteries for your TTL speedlights, and of course remember, you have to have your TTL cable, because light that is sitting on the hot shoe of your camera is crap light. You got to get your damn speedlight off of your damn camera. People think, well, I've got enough batteries and I've got two professional TTL speedlights, like you said. Yeah, but there's a problem with discharge and recycle of the capacitors. You're missing the shots. You can't be relying on these batteries. You can't. It's going to screw your photography up, and I know these packs are expensive, and they make one that is certainly cheaper than this, and it's made by Qualcomm. No, it's not Qualcomm. It's somebody else makes a cheap version of this, but this is the Premier. This is the Quantum Turbo 3. I didn't bring the power cable out, but there's a power cable that goes from this. It goes around your shoulder like a little purse, basically, and it supplies power right through this portal here with the appropriate cord. You buy the appropriate cord for the appropriate speedlight. So I'm using a Quantum to Nikon speedlight power cable. It goes from here to here. What this does is it drops your recycle time down to nothing. Instead of waiting for the batteries to drain, you still need to use batteries, because the batteries actually control the computer on these professional TTL speedlights. So you still have to have those batteries, but what it does is, instead of waiting for your flash to recycle, with the Quantum Pack, if you need to do some burst photography, fine. This is a wedding photographer and a photojournalist's dream. You can't be missing the shot because you're waiting for the best speedlight in the world with the best batteries in the world, and this is the case, to drop the charge from here to the capacitors, and then to pop the shot, and then to drop, no. We got to circumvent that. We got to drop hardcore power fast to get the shot. You're missing the shot, you're making a mistake. And then you're screwing the client, and then your work doesn't look good, and your final photo package is missing shots because you're waiting for your capacitors to charge, because they're feeding off battery power, which can only drain at a certain cycle rate. It blows my mind that anybody actually does a professional wedding shoot and does not have either this pack or another one like it. They make cheaper versions of this. They're like half the price. This one's $600. Not cheap at all. But it pays for itself in a single wedding shoot, and it's an absolute necessity. You could go all the wedding shoot with just one Quantum Pack, by the way. You don't actually have to do rapid fire, during during the entire wedding at the reception and the rest of it. I obviously can't do it in the chapel, so one pack is more than enough, but you gotta have that ultra fast instantaneous recycle time. I have 5 lenses total, 2 cameras at the minimum total, but I'm not going to have, some people will say, well, I'm going to use 2 of the same camera. Why would you do that? You know, if you have 2 of the same camera, that's understandable because you're going to have 2 different lenses on one. You're going to switch between the 70 to 200 to the 24 to 70 equivalent. That's understandable, okay? But why would I do that? There's no camera that is perfect for everything. The Nikon D500 is king of speed, action, autofocus tracking, and acquisition. I mean, it is just greased lightning. But it is not the king of portraiture. Not that it can't do a perfectly fine job at portraiture. That is when I'm grabbing this camera. If I need to switch lens, fine. You know? If I need to switch it, fine. I'll throw on the Takedo 100mm. Or I'll throw on the Tamron 15 to 30 for the reception. Or specifically the chapel, so I can actually capture some of the wide shots of the wedding reception. Got to have the capabilities of this camera and the capabilities of this camera and the capabilities of this camera together make for the absolute pinnacle of every variety of shooting. Portraiture, pinnacle. Sports, action, motion, capturing it ultra fast, bottomless buffer basically. I let this thing rip like a friggin' machine gun with continuous autofocus tracking. I mean, I'm crucifying it. I'm just killing it with this camera. But I'm not going to grab this camera when it's time for the bride and the groom. I'm going to put it aside. I'm going to grab Nikon D810 when they're cutting the cake, when they're saying their vows saying their vows at the altar. Brain fart, too much caffeine, didn't go to bed till 5 o'clock last night in the morning. Monopod, I think the monopod is self-explanatory for some of the low light shots. Nikon D810 is not king of low light. The Nikon D500 is. But I want some of those larger prints of anything that I know I necessarily need the best shots with the largest prints. It's going to have to be with the Nikon D810. There's nothing wrong with the Nikon D500. I think I made that abundantly clear. If they pay for the package, you're going to have to hire an assistant because you yourself and your 2 hands and your 2 cameras and your 5 lenses, and I would not take more than this. This is more than enough. These are the full course meals of the photography for the wedding. The 15 to 30, not so much. Definitely so the 24 to 70 equivalent, which is the 1755. And definitely the 70 to 200. This is the bread and butter of wedding photography and so many other varieties of photography. So these are the 3 main courses of optical necessity for the wedding, and these are the spices, and you know, they got the paprika and pepper. People love that. You never normally see people drag a macro. You'll see them drag a portraiture lens like a 105, which of course is, you know, there's no denying that the 105 f2 DC Nikkor is better than the Takedo 100mm for portraiture. Okay, that's fine. But this serves a dual purpose and is perfectly fine enough to do both. You get some macro shots of the cake, the wedding, you know, just little details. People eat that up. They love it. They feel like it's a total wedding. When you can take the shots, you're not only taking shots better than everybody else, because that's what the hell you're paid for, but when you throw in those little shots that nobody else got. Ain't nobody else at the wedding with a point-and-shoot camera that got a fisheye lens. Ain't nobody else at the wedding with their little stinking-ass point-and-shoot cameras that are also taking pictures that brought with themselves a damn hardcore macro lens or a portraiture lens. They didn't bring it. So these are the reasons why, among many, that you should, I strongly urge you to bring a fisheye lens and a macro/portraiture lens. Because they are the spices that pad the wedding package. And people love it. If you've done it correct, you know, you got to know how to use this equipment, of course. You got to know how to use a fisheye. You stick a fisheye on this camera, stick it on the monopole, reach it up above the reception, you take a fisheye shot, people eat the hell out of that crap. They love it to death. Oh my God, it's beautiful. I can see everybody at the wedding all at the same time. You print out a 20 by 30 print from a bird's eye view of a fisheye shot of the wedding reception. People eat that crap up. They love it. So if anybody out there is going to tell me not to bring a fisheye lens to a wedding shoot, well, I'm going to tell you to kiss my butt because I know more about it than you do. And I know for a fact that people love those shots. They do. I'm not saying you're sitting there taking a bunch of fisheye shots during the wedding. I'm saying that you're adding some pepper and paprika to the package that is the wedding shoot that you are being paid, hopefully, handsomely for. So these are it. I only brought out one speed light, but obviously you should bring two minimum. You got to have a TTL cable. Got to get your damn flash off your damn camera. Anytime I see a wedding photographer that's got his camera, his speed light, sitting on the top of his camera, you know, it's like, what the hell are you, a photojournalist? You know, a paparazzi? You don't stick your speed light on the top of your damn camera and do that at wedding shoots? What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, you gotta have the power to. I say you can bring 100 batteries. 100 batteries ain't enough. It's about recycle time. You gotta be able to... You can't do that even if you have 100 batteries or 1,000 batteries. You bring about 20 of these minimum. 20, okay? After 3 or 4 decent weddings, this camera, all of this camera equipment you see here will have paid for itself, and then it's just pure gravy. So, anyway, this is my recommendation on the gear required for a good, true professional wedding. And I said need an assistant if it's of a certain size or a certain payment, or they're buying a package that's costing them dearly. You know, you owe it to them. You know, pay some dude that you trust to, you know, $300 or $400 a day to do the filler that you can't do with your 2 cameras and your 2 damn hands. I don't care how good you are. You can't cover it all. If the wedding's big enough, you sure as hell can't cover it all. So, anyway, that's it. Like this video, you could drop me $1 or $2, or you could send me a nice big fat pizza. Just kidding about the pizza. No, I'm not. I'm never kidding about pizza. I never kid about pizza. Catch you later. Bye.